April 14th, 2013, Sunday morning, Davis, California. The small farming community gathered for worship. But something felt wrong. Oliver and Claudia weren't there. For the first time in decades, these devoted churchgoers had vanished without a word. Oliver was supposed to perform with the senior band that day. He'd attended every practice, never missed a single rehearsal, but on performance day, nothing. Complete silence. These weren't irresponsible people. At their age, they understood duty. They understood commitment, the congregation whispered among themselves. Heavy hearts, worried faces. Something terrible had happened. The phone calls began immediately, ring after ring. No answer. Hours passed. Still nothing. Finally, their son arrived with his grandson. They knocked on the door. Harder and harder. The house remained silent as a tomb. That evening, police received the call. A welfare check on 2 missing elderly residents. Officers arrived at the modest home. The first thing they noticed made their blood run cold. A window screen, torn open like a wound. What they found inside would shatter this peaceful community forever. 2 lives brutally stolen, bodies mutilated beyond recognition. But the killer? The killer was someone no one could ever imagine. Who could harbor such hatred toward this beloved elderly couple? What you're about to hear will challenge everything you think you know about evil. Because sometimes heroes become monsters, and monsters hide behind innocent faces. Oliver was 80 years old. Claudia, 76. This wasn't their first marriage. Both had loved and lost before. But together they'd built something beautiful. 8 children between them. His kids, her kids. All grown now, but still coming home for Sunday dinners. The house would fill with laughter. Grandchildren running through hallways. 3 generations sharing stories around the kitchen table. Oliver's hands trembled when he played piano. Age had weakened his fingers. But his music still filled the church every Sunday morning. Claudia loved gardening. Her roses bloomed brighter than anyone else's in the neighborhood. She'd give bouquets to visitors, always with that warm smile. They were pillars of their community, respected elders who'd earned their peaceful retirement. Oliver had worked construction for 40 years, built homes with his bare hands. Strong, honest work that left him proud. Claudia raised children, then grandchildren. Her kitchen was always open. Her door always unlocked. Everyone was family to her. They lived simply, modestly. Their greatest joy came from watching their extended family grow and prosper. On weekends, the house transformed. Car after car would pull into the driveway, voices calling out greetings. Hugs and kisses all around. No one held grudges here. No family drama. No bitter disputes over money or inheritance. These were people who'd learned what mattered. Love, time, being present for each other. April 13th was their last normal day. Oliver practiced piano for Sunday's performance. Claudia tended her garden. They went to bed that Saturday night with no enemies, no fears, no reason to lock their windows. They had no idea someone was already planning their deaths. Daniel Marsh. 15 years old. 5 years earlier, this boy made headlines across California. The title? Local hero. 10-year-old Daniel was riding with his father when disaster struck. His dad suffered a massive heart attack behind the wheel. Most children would panic, scream, freeze in terror. Not Daniel. He grabbed the steering wheel, steered the car to safety, then performed CPR on his dying father. 30 seconds later, his dad's eyes opened. His life saved by a 10-year-old's quick thinking. The Red Cross gave him an award. Newspapers called him a miracle child. Everyone praised his intelligence, his composure under pressure. But heroes don't always stay heroes. Daniel's parents divorced when he was 11. His father had anger issues. Violence simmered beneath the surface of their home. After the separation, his mother found new love, with Daniel's former kindergarten teacher no less. Daniel blamed this man for destroying his family. Night after night, he lay in bed plotting revenge, detailed fantasies about slitting his throat. By age 11, his searches revealed a darker obsession: psychopaths, sociopaths, serial killers. He studied them, admired them, learned their methods. Daniel developed a twisted habit. Whenever he met someone new, he'd imagine how to kill them. The perfect method, the ideal weapon. His mental health deteriorated rapidly. Depression, eating disorders, alcohol and drug abuse. His parents sent him to psychiatric treatment. 1 month in a mental facility. New medications brought quick improvement. Too quick, perhaps. Upon release, Daniel approached his school counselor with a confession. He wanted to kill his classmates. Detailed plans, specific methods. The counselor contacted police immediately, but no action was taken. A 14-year-old making violent fantasies? Just typical teenage angst. Nothing to worry about. They were catastrophically wrong. Daniel began killing neighborhood cats, small victims to satisfy growing urges. But it wasn't enough. April 14, 2013. Daniel dressed in black. Gloves on his hands, tape wrapped around his shoe soles. He'd studied serial killers long enough to avoid leaving evidence. Tonight, fantasy would become reality. April 14, 2013. Daniel walked the empty streets of Davis. Every footstep calculated. Every breath controlled. He wasn't hunting anyone specific. This wasn't personal revenge. This was pure opportunity. House after house passed by his careful inspection. Front doors locked tight, windows sealed shut, security systems blinking red warnings. 10 houses, 20 houses, 30 houses. Daniel kept walking. Patient as a predator, cold as winter wind. His backpack held everything he needed. A 15-centimeter knife, gloves, tape for his shoes. He'd studied serial killers long enough to know the basics. Leave no traces. Make no mistakes. 40 houses now. Still nothing. But Daniel wasn't discouraged. He had all night. House 41 belonged to the Hendersons. Motion sensor lights. Barking dog. He moved on quickly. House 42 had teenagers sneaking back inside. Too risky. Too many witnesses. House 43 sat quiet and dark. Daniel approached the side window. Locked tight. Curtains drawn, then he saw it. House 44. A small ranch home with roses blooming in the front garden. More importantly, one bedroom window stood slightly open. No screen covering the gap. Daniel smiled for the first time that night. He had no idea whose house this was. Didn't know their names, their ages, their stories. He didn't care. Oliver and Claudia had made one small mistake. One tiny oversight. On hot April nights, they liked fresh air while sleeping. That kindness to themselves would cost them everything. Daniel cut through the backyard. No neighbors awake. No cars passing. The universe had aligned perfectly for his darkest desires. He reached the window, peered inside. 2 figures sleeping peacefully in their bed. Perfect victims. Defenseless. Unaware. Everything he'd dreamed about for years. Daniel pulled out his knife. Tonight, the boy hero would become something else entirely. 2:15 a.m. Daniel sliced through the window screen. The fabric parted like silk under his blade. He slipped inside without a sound. 5 years of planning had taught him patience. The bedroom smelled like lavender. Claudia's perfume still lingered on her nightstand. Oliver's reading glasses sat folded beside a half-finished crossword puzzle. These small details of normal life would haunt investigators later. Daniel stood at the foot of their bed, watching, calculating, choosing his approach. 10 minutes passed in complete silence. 10 minutes of a killer studying his prey. Oliver snored softly. Claudia's breathing was barely audible. They had no idea death was 3 feet away. Daniel later confessed what he felt in that moment. Excitement, joy, pure anticipation. The first strike came without warning. Claudia's scream pierced the night as Daniel's knife found its mark. Oliver jolted awake. Confusion filled his elderly eyes. What was happening? Who was this boy in their bedroom? But there was no time for answers. No mercy for questions. Daniel moved with mechanical precision. Strike after strike after strike. The knife rose and fell like a violent metronome. 65 wounds on Oliver's body. 67 on Claudia's. 132 stab wounds total. The bedroom became a slaughterhouse. Blood painted the walls, soaked the carpet, stained the family photos hanging nearby. But Daniel wasn't finished. The killing was just the beginning. What happened next defied human understanding. Daniel opened their bodies like a textbook. Removed organs with surgical curiosity. In their place, he inserted household objects. A drinking glass, a cell phone. Items that had no business inside human beings. This wasn't rage. This wasn't passion. This was cold, calculated desecration. Daniel worked for another 20 minutes, mutilating, exploring, satisfying, twisted scientific curiosity about human anatomy. The crime scene, would later be described by veteran detectives as the worst they'd ever witnessed. At 3:45 a.m., Daniel finally finished his work. He surveyed the carnage with satisfaction. 2 innocent people lay destroyed. Their peaceful retirement ended in unimaginable horror. Daniel cleaned his knife on Claudia's bedsheets, packed his tools, climbed back through the window. He walked home through the same quiet streets, no different than any other teenager heading home past curfew. By 4 a.m., Daniel was in his own bed, sleeping peacefully while Oliver and Claudia's bodies grew cold. The next morning, he went to school like nothing happened. Because to him, nothing important had happened. He'd simply fulfilled a 5-year fantasy. April 15th. Evening. Police knocked on doors throughout the neighborhood. Had anyone seen suspicious activity? Strange vehicles? Unfamiliar faces? Nothing. The killer had moved like smoke through their community. The crime scene told its own horrific story. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. Nothing was stolen. This wasn't a home invasion. The attack targeted the bedroom specifically. The level of mutilation suggested personal hatred. Someone with deep burning rage against this elderly couple. But who could hate Oliver and Claudia enough for this? Detective Sarah Morrison had worked homicide for 15 years. She'd seen domestic violence, gang executions, drug deals turned deadly. This felt different, more personal, more twisted. The investigation began with family members. Always start closest to home. Always suspect those with the most to gain. 8 children, dozens of grandchildren. Financial records showed no disputes over inheritance. No bitter family feuds. Everyone loved Oliver and Claudia. Everyone had solid alibis. Then investigators learned about Tony, Oliver and Claudia's grandson. 22 years old with documented schizophrenia. The timing seemed suspicious. Mental illness plus extreme violence equals potential suspect. Tony's father, Robert, defended his son immediately. He insisted his boy was innocent. He loved his grandparents, but coincidences started piling up. On the day of the murders, Robert and Tony had steam cleaned their carpets. Why clean carpets that particular day? What were they trying to remove? Police found drawings in Tony's room. Disturbing sketches of a figure with a knife standing over 2 bodies. Innocent artistic expression, or evidence of planning? Tony underwent 12 hours of police questioning. His father sat beside him, refusing to hire a lawyer. Why no attorney? Because innocent people don't need legal protection. That decision would prove costly. The interrogation was relentless. Multiple detectives taking turns. Psychological pressure mounting by the hour. Tony's mental condition made him vulnerable. Confused, easy to manipulate. But no confession came. No evidence emerged linking him to the scene. The investigation stalled completely. Meanwhile, the real killer attended high school every day, bragging to classmates about his achievement. But teenagers tell wild stories all the time. Nobody believed Daniel's claims about murdering his grandparents' neighbors. It sounded like typical adolescent fantasy. Dark humor taken too far. 3 months passed. Tony remained under suspicion while Daniel walked free. The pressure destroyed Tony's fragile mental health. Depression consumed him entirely. 3 years later, Tony chose a permanent escape from his pain. Suicide became the final tragedy in this case. An innocent young man died while the real killer continued planning his next attack. Justice delayed had become justice denied. 2 months passed. The case grew cold. No leads, no suspects, no hope. Detective Morrison stared at crime scene photos every night, searching for clues that didn't exist. Meanwhile, Tony's mental health deteriorated rapidly. The innocent grandson couldn't escape suspicion. Whispers followed him everywhere. Family gatherings became uncomfortable. Friends pulled away. The community wondered if their quiet neighbor was capable of such horror. Tony's father watched his son crumble under the weight of false accusations. Depression consumed the young man completely. 3 years later, Tony couldn't bear the pain anymore. He chose permanent escape from his suffering. Another victim claimed by Daniel's knife. But justice works in mysterious ways. June 17, 2013. The phone rang at Davis Police Department. The voice trembled with nervous energy. Young, male, frightened. The caller asked if anonymity could be guaranteed. He had information about the April murders. He claimed to know who killed the old couple. Daniel Marsh, he told everyone at school. Detective Morrison's pen stopped moving. Daniel who? The caller identified him as Daniel Marsh. 15 years old. Davis High School freshman. The caller's story seemed impossible. A boy bragging about brutal murder, showing off weapons at school, but the details were too specific to ignore. The caller explained that Daniel had brought the knife to school after the murders. He described exactly how he cut them open, how he removed their organs, how he placed objects inside their bodies. Morrison felt her pulse quicken. These crime scene details were never released publicly. The caller said they all thought he was lying at first, just trying to seem tough, but then he got suspended for bringing weapons to campus. Morrison asked why no one reported this sooner. The caller admitted they were scared. Daniel wasn't normal. He threatened anyone who might tell. The anonymous caller provided more information. Daniel's full name, his address, his known associates. Most importantly, his confession timeline matched perfectly with the murders. Morrison hung up the phone. For the first time in months, she felt hope, but doubt crept in quickly. Daniel Marsh was just 15 years old, a high school freshman with no criminal record. How could a child commit such sophisticated brutality? Morrison pulled Daniel's file anyway. What she found shocked her completely. 5 years earlier, this same boy had saved his father's life. CPR, quick thinking, heroic actions. Local newspapers called him a miracle child. The Red Cross gave him awards. Heroes don't become killers, do they? But the anonymous tip contained too many accurate details to dismiss. June 17th. Daniel received his summons to appear at police headquarters. He arrived with his parents. Calm, confident, seemingly innocent. FBI agents joined. Local detectives for the interrogation. This case demanded their best resources. Daniel maintained his innocence completely. He asked how someone his age could do such terrible things. He cried during questioning, appeared genuinely confused by the accusations. 3 hours passed. No confession. No admission of guilt. Then Detective Morrison played her final card. The anonymous tip recording. Daniel's composure shattered instantly. His hands trembled. Sweat beaded on his forehead. The mask finally slipped away. After 3 hours and 30 minutes, Daniel looked up at his interrogators. He admitted he had wanted to kill people since he was little. The words came out matter-of-factly. No emotion, no remorse, just cold, calculated honesty about his darkest desires. The confession began like a textbook case study. Daniel told Detective Morrison he had wanted to kill someone since he was little. Daniel spoke with chilling casualness. As if discussing his favorite television show, the FBI agent interrupted. He asked Daniel how he would kill him. Daniel studied the man carefully. He said he would use his necktie, strangle him first, then smash his face into that mirror, cut him with the broken glass, no hesitation, no emotion, pure mechanical analysis. The interrogation room fell silent. Veteran investigators had never heard anything like this from a 15-year-old. Daniel continued his story. Everything started when his parents divorced. His mother found new love with his former kindergarten teacher. He blamed this man for destroying his family. Every night he fantasized about slitting his throat. Age 11 brought deeper obsessions. Internet searches about psychopaths, serial killers, methods of murder. He studied their techniques, admired their efficiency, planned to surpass their achievements. By 13, Daniel had developed a twisted habit. Every person he met triggered the same question: how would I kill them? The school counselor heard his violent fantasies firsthand. She contacted police immediately, but authorities dismissed his threats as teenage angst. Hormonal imbalance. Nothing serious. Their negligence would cost Oliver and Claudia their lives. Daniel began practicing on neighborhood cats. Small victims to satisfy growing urges. But animals weren't enough. He needed human targets. April 14, 2013. 2 a.m. Daniel dressed in black clothing. Taped his shoe soles to avoid footprints. He'd learned these techniques from studying serial killers online. 40 houses. 50 houses. Methodical hunting until he found the perfect target. 1 open window. 2 sleeping victims. No security system. Daniel climbed inside. Watched them sleep for 10 minutes. Planning his approach, he struck Claudia first. Her scream woke Oliver, but the elderly man couldn't fight back effectively. 132 stab wounds total. 65 on Oliver, 67 on Claudia. Then came the mutilation. Organs removed. Objects inserted. Pure curiosity about human anatomy. Investigators asked how he felt. During the attack, Daniel replied he was excited, happy. It was everything he had dreamed about for years. Daniel's honesty was more disturbing than any lie. The next morning, he attended school normally, began bragging about his achievement immediately. Nobody believed him at first. Teenagers tell wild stories constantly. But Daniel brought evidence. The murder weapon, detailed descriptions, accurate crime scene knowledge. His classmates finally realized the truth. Their friend was a killer. Fear kept them silent for months. Daniel had threatened anyone who might betray him. Psychological testing revealed Daniel scored 35.8 out of 40 on the psychopathy scale. Clinical diagnosis confirmed what investigators already knew. They were dealing with a genuine monster. Daniel showed no remorse during his confession, no understanding of his victim's suffering. He spoke about Oliver and Claudia like laboratory specimens, objects for his experimentation. The complete confession took 6 hours. Every detail meticulously recorded. Daniel was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Multiple counts of desecration of human remains. But here's where the story gets complicated. Daniel was still 15 years old, juvenile court versus adult court. The decision would determine everything: life imprisonment or eventual release, justice or legal loophole. The community demanded adult sentencing. This crime transcended age limitations. September 2013. Daniel's trial began. Media coverage exploded worldwide. How could someone so young commit such calculated brutality? The courtroom was packed daily. Victims' family members, concerned citizens, legal experts, everyone wanted answers to impossible questions. Daniel received adult sentencing. 52 years minimum before parole eligibility. 2 murder charges, 25 years each. Additional penalties for desecration. Justice seemed served. The monster would die in prison, but legal battles were just beginning. Daniel's sentencing brought temporary peace. 52 years minimum imprisonment. The community could finally breathe safely. The monster was caged, but California's legal system had other plans. 16. New legislation changed everything. Minors receiving adult sentences became controversial. The law retroactively affected Daniel's case. His adult conviction might be overturned. Possibility of release at age 25. 2022. Just 9 years after the murders. Oliver and Claudia's family felt betrayed by their own justice system. How could legal technicalities override such brutal crimes? Community outrage exploded again. Petitions demanding Daniel remain imprisoned forever. But worse was yet to come. 18. Daniel appeared in a TED Talk. Prison rehabilitation program showcasing reformed inmates. The topic? Human compassion and second chances. Daniel spoke eloquently about his troubled childhood. Abuse, neglect, psychological trauma. He claimed he was a wounded child acting out his pain. He deserved the chance to contribute positively to society. The video uploaded to YouTube immediately. Views climbed rapidly. Comment sections erupted with fury. How dare a brutal killer receive this platform? Within 48 hours, victim advocacy groups forced the video's removal. But damage was done. Daniel had shown his manipulation skills publicly. Was this genuine rehabilitation, or calculated sociopathy seeking early release? Many experts believed the latter. Psychopaths excel at mimicking human emotion. Daniel's TED appearance seemed designed to influence public opinion, generate sympathy for his eventual parole hearing. The performance was too polished, too perfect, too convenient. Meanwhile, Oliver and Claudia's surviving family lived in constant fear. Would this monster really walk free someday? Would justice be completely abandoned? 2019 brought partial relief. Courts ruled Daniel must serve his full adult sentence. 52 years minimum remained in effect. No early release based on age technicalities. Daniel's legal team continues appealing this decision. The battle never truly ends. Prison records show Daniel maintains perfect behavior, model inmate status. But experts warn about psychopaths in controlled environments. They excel at manipulation, playing by rules when it serves their interests, appearing reformed when seeking freedom. Oliver and Claudia's grandchildren have grown up in fear. Knowing their killer might someday return, the legal system failed to provide permanent justice. Technical loopholes created ongoing trauma. This case changed California law enforcement permanently. New protocols for juvenile violent offenders. But those changes came too late for Oliver and Claudia. Too late for Tony, the innocent grandson who paid with his life. Too late for a community forever scarred by one teenager's twisted fantasies. Today, Daniel Marsh remains behind bars. 52 years minimum sentence still stands. He continues filing appeals, claiming rehabilitation, demanding freedom. His TED Talk words echo through time with hollow mockery. He claimed there are no evil people in this world, only wounded people who need healing. Pretty words from a killer's mouth. Do you believe them? Oliver and Claudia never got their healing, never got their second chances. They died in terror and pain while their killer felt only excitement. Some wounds never heal. Some crimes transcend forgiveness. This case revealed uncomfortable truths about our society. Warning signs ignored by authorities. Mental health crises dismissed as teenage drama. A school counselor's desperate plea falling on deaf ears. An innocent young man destroyed by false accusations while the real killer walked free. These failures cost multiple lives. Oliver, Claudia, Tony, all victims of systemic negligence. But heroes emerged from this darkness too. An anonymous student who finally found courage to speak truth. Detectives who never gave up seeking justice. A community that demanded accountability from their legal system. Sometimes evil wears an innocent face. Sometimes heroes become monsters. But truth has a way of surfacing eventually. Justice finds its path through the darkest circumstances. Oliver and Claudia's memory lives on. Not in the headlines about their deaths, but in the love they shared with 8 children and countless grandchildren. Their garden still blooms with roses every spring. Their church piano still echoes with melody. Time fades the headlines. Years dim the outrage, but some stories demand remembering. Some clues never truly fade. The capacity for evil exists in unexpected places. The need for vigilance never ends. Watch for warning signs. Listen to desperate pleas. Believe what seems unbelievable. Because monsters don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they look like heroes. Here at Faded Clues, we remember what others forget. The victims, the families, the questions that remain. Subscribe to keep these stories alive. Help us honor those who cannot speak for themselves because their truth deserves to be told. Again and again and again.